What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna take a look at a 2012 Volkswagen Golf R. Huge shout out and thank you to Champion Car Company. They are providing this really nice pre-owned Golf R for today's video. Check out the link to their website in the description below. They have a huge selection of some awesome pre-owned cars, so definitely check them out. So in today's video, this vehicle is around $20,000. And if you look at a brand new Golf R, they are around twice the cost. So while this is about a decade old, what do you get for buying a Golf R for half the price? That is a really cool way to look at it. Half price Golf R right here. So we're gonna drive it and see if it still offers a really fun driving dynamic. Obviously this is a really cool looking car. There's a lot of people who love the Golf Rs, especially in the wagon form, which is the only way they come, of course. But I like how this car has always been a cool looking four-door wagon. So taking a quick look at the exterior, this is one of the best colors for the Golf R. I especially love these things in blue, and I really love the wheels. So of course, looking at the design of this car, comparing it to the newest version, this is a little tamed down, but you still get a lot of sharp body lines, and it's still a really good looking car. I wouldn't say this looks like a 10-year-old vehicle. They definitely did a good job giving it more of a timeless design. And I love how the rear end just cuts off like that. It just gives it a fantastic profile, and I love the proportions. I've always thought it was cool how this line around here comes down and then into the bumper line and matches the doors. I just love the way these things look. Coming around the back, you can see how everything looks. Super clean vehicle. Really nothing to argue with. I think it's a really good blend of everything. If we make our way onto the interior, you do get a full leather interior. Black leather on this particular car with some nice bucket seats. We'll test those out once we get this thing out on the road. And we have a manual transmission. You cannot argue with a 6-speed. That is always a good way to go. We'll go ahead and take a look at the rear seat space now. This is a pretty practical hatchback. You can fit 3 people back here pretty comfortably. You have a pretty good amount of space. So let's walk onto the interior and fire this thing up. See what we have as far as an interior. So we are in neutral. We do have push button start as well. With my foot on the clutch, we'll go ahead and fire it up. So we have a screen right in the center. You can see the navigation icon right here. So a little bit different than what a modern Golf is gonna have. Of course, this is a much smaller screen. This is maybe 4 inches max. The newer one is gonna have the virtual cockpit and a nice big screen right in the center, probably filling up this entire bezel. This car, a little bit dated, of course, but nonetheless, you still get navigation. It's not touchscreen. Actually, it is touchscreen, which is really cool to see, but you do get it, which is really good. And then you have all your other basic things, phone integration, climate controls, things like that. And then 2 cup holders and just kind of your basics all around. But you also get a sunroof up top with the various ways to adjust it. I like that about older Audis and Volkswagens. You can really control the sunroof, which is pretty cool. So that is a good look at the inside of a Golf R, a decade-old vehicle. You still get some of the good basics. Let's see if it drives well. All right guys, so we are setting off now in the Golf R. So this car has around 256 horsepower. A 2022 is gonna have around 315. So of course, a decade later, they have added quite a lot of power to this vehicle. They're both all-wheel drive. I believe a manual is still available for the new one. And then of course you have a DCT for the automatic version. So in this car, one thing really cool is the visibility. You have such a big windshield, and all the glass around you is really easy to see around. It's a car that you have no blind spots. And I like, for this being a daily, something you're gonna probably take to work every single day, put kids in the back, lower the rear seats, and put a lot of stuff in the back. This is a car that can do that sort of thing, and yet it's really fun to drive. So we have some fun turns ahead we'll get to. But as far as the normal driving, like I said, you have some of the technology in it. It's comfortable, actually. These seats feel really good. I like how maneuverable they are. You have a lot of the manual controls, but it makes them really easy to use. You have huge bolsters, so when you're out on the track or mountains or something in this car, this is a car that'll actually do that. The shifting and everything, being a manual, of course, is a lot of fun, but I like how it's easy to drive. I think this could be even a good first manual transmission car. We have a carbon fiber air intake on this one, and that makes some good turbo noises. As far as rolling acceleration go, we'll go back into third. Super easy to rev match. Oh, I love that little whistle you hear, and it's got some power. And being all-wheel drive, it's a car that really can pack a punch. You give it a little bit of gas, and it starts taking off. Let's see if we can hear any of the exhaust exhaust noise with the window down a little bit. That makes some good noises to it for sure. And then as we accelerate up a hill, I love how responsive this thing is. That's so cool. And what I've noticed more and more lately, even if a car is 10 years old, that doesn't mean it's like just an old junky car. I'm finding that if you take really good care of your car and properly maintain it, things like that, let it warm up before you get on it, they're cars that can really just last a long time. And this car is in really good shape. All the leather is still in really nice condition. I've always noticed with Audis especially, the leather just handles forever and it lasts forever. Volkswagen being all part of the same company, seems like they use a really good material on the seating as well. We have 90,900 miles on this car, and it does not look like a decade-old car with almost 100K on it. It's nice and smooth to drive, and everything is still in really good shape. I've always been a fan of the Volkswagen Group cars. The shifter's also really easy to use. It's pretty notchy. I think you can find the gear very well, and the clutch pedal doesn't weigh anything. Being just a smaller engine, it doesn't need a crazy heavy clutch like you would find in a V8 or something like that. As far as the hand position on the steering wheel, you have really good thumb notches, and it's a smaller wheel. I've always liked how nimble these cars feel. You don't see any of the hood, so it's actually a pretty short feeling car, but you feel like you're right on top of it and you're right in front. Alright, so what are you going to lose instead of buying a brand new one, going for one that's half the price, a decade old? Basically, the biggest thing is the technology. Like I said, you're not getting the virtual cockpit, the big navigation screen, all the parking sensors, maybe a 360 camera or something like that. You're, of course, just going to get a little bit of a dated car from that regards. And what I'm finding, newer and newer cars, it seems to be the selling point of them is the technology that they offer. I think a lot of people nowadays are buying cars based off of the tech. It doesn't really necessarily have to be a better mechanical object. It doesn't have to be that much faster, that much more styled, or anything like that. It just has to have more technology. So if you're okay with pretty normal technology that still is going to get the job done, I don't see you losing out on too much for half the price. Of course, you can upgrade some of the tech. You could probably do a full Android Auto, Apple CarPlay screen in here. You're not going to mess with a virtual cockpit, of course, but you can still get you at least that sort of technology in this car. As far as performance, of course, they are ramping up the performance aspects, the numbers and things like that, so it is faster. But these cars, you can modify them, add different bolt-ons, tune them, and crank them up to be very, very fast. And you could probably make this just as quick for still a lot cheaper. When you look at the overall design, it's not as styled, I think, as cars progress in the design. They just get a little bit more edgy to make them look like a modern car. And really, it's just our own subjective opinions of what we think is modern. This car still looks really good inside and out. Even with a smaller screen, it doesn't really feel dated or anything like that. It still feels nice and normal and pretty easy to use. So we'll go ahead and get up to some speed. Just got a stop sign real quick. We'll see if this power is still up to date as far as a quick car. Just getting a second gear. Wow. I mean, that's up to 60 something really quick. You're not gonna not have fun in a car like this. And the price point, $20,000. What else can you get for 20 grand? I get a lot of comments as people asking, what's a good first car? What's a good car on a smaller budget? $20,000 for this car? I don't really see any complaints with it. It's fun to drive, it looks really cool, and it's super practical. I mean, this is a pretty cool car. It's been a while since I've driven a Golf R, especially an older one. It's actually been a long time. Man. Wow. The speed climbs way more than I'm expecting. I think I've been in GTIs. It's been maybe a really long time, actually, since I've been in a Golf R. But wow, these are quick cars. I'm liking this car actually a lot as we pass a GTI. But yeah, so I think the tech is the biggest thing you're giving up on. Safety things, Volkswagen's always been a pretty safe vehicle. Of course, you have normal airbags. It has side curtain airbags as well, anti-lock brakes, the basics that any modern car is going to have. Anything past 2000 at least is going to have. So you may not get the radar cruise control, things like that. We do have normal cruise control. So the radar is going to be something you're not going to see. Forward collision, cross traffic alert. Those are basically the things you're sacrificing. But for an extra $20,000, that is a lot of money extra to get into a brand new one. Realistically, basically just to get a little bit more power, slightly better performance, and then the technology. So overall, buying a used half-price Volkswagen Golf R, is that something you should go for? I think absolutely. It depends on what your own budget is. If you can't justify the extra money well into the 40s to get into the R on the brand new market, I don't think you're going to be disappointed with a car like this. But if you find a good one, definitely snag one up, because I think it's a hard car to complain with. We got one little last stretch of some fun roads and we will wrap it up. I love the sound too. It's got a center mounted exhaust, which I think is a really cool aspect. We'll get into second gear. Got a nice little bridge. We'll get over. Alright, so I think that is then it for the 2012 half-price Volkswagen Golf R. Comment below, what do you guys think of this car for a $20,000 budget? I think it is definitely something to put on the list. Huge shout out and thank you to Champion Car Company for providing this pre-owned Golf R for today's video. Check out the link to their website. They have a huge selection of awesome pre-owned cars, so definitely check them out. But that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up, smash the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next video.